everybody. Welcome to another episode of Madge Unmuted. I am your host, Madge Madigan, by birth. Madge Unmuted by this show. Welcome. I want to introduce to you my super producer, Fitz.
Oh, I forgot my cape today. I didn't realize that today I was a super producer.
Your cape? Oh, I thought you said cake.
No, I didn't bring my cake either. But
cake.
Does it look like I need any more cake? No, I didn't think so.
Anyway, Fitz, Rockfox Studios.
Thank you.
For all your recording needs, podcasts, you just like to hear yourself talk.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Fitz, Rockfox Studios. Let me get right to our guest today. I'm very excited. I say that every time, but
you are excited every time.
I have the greatest freaking guests. I love it. We have songwriter and multi-platinum producer, former member of the band Awol Nation, current member of the band Fitness, Kenny Carkeet.
Yo.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you. I got to turn it up a little. Turn it up. Sorry. Just to let you know, Kenny, we often go on, well, more so me, go off on tangents. So.
Yeah,
I get it. Done it.
So if you get lost in this conversation, that's just sort of normal. It happens.
And it's more of a conversation than an interview. So that's just what we do here.
I'll get lost with you. It's all good.
There you
Yay!
go. Perfect.
Okay, so let's get a little bit background here. Do you not like to focus on the Awol Nation thing, or do you not care?
No, I don't. It's all good.
Okay.
Anything's good. It's fair game.
Okay, so let us know where you started out. I know it's a broad question.
Like started out like as a musician or started out in the career?
Where were you born? No.
yeah, right.
No.
Yeah, let's see.
Okay, so was Awol Nation your first hit at big time? We'll go backwards after that.
Yeah. Awol was my first glimpse into successful musicianship a couple years after I got into LA. And what a training regiment that was.
Oh my gosh, I can imagine. And so for those who don't know, Awol had that big hit Sail, among many others, that you've heard in like every commercial and show and all kinds of things. So, and you were the keyboard player on that?
Yeah, keyboard player, guitar player, kind of engineer.
Because that keyboard, I mean, all the synth stuff, is that what it is? I'm sorry, if I don't get the instruments right.
That's right. I tell you, as a keyboard player, we can say that there's a difference between keys, which is like pianos and stuff, and then synths, which is like electronic sounds and things like that.
Right.
Makes us feel better.
Whatever it was was fucking awesome.
Thank you. We tried hard.
You did. So, and it shows. So let me go back. Sorry. So you said when you got to LA. So obviously you were brought up somewhere else.
Yeah, so I'm from Florida originally. I've been playing music my whole life. I've played piano in church since I was like 10, doing all the masses and stuff, and then got a guitar when I was 10 because I started to like girls, and I got drums when I was 14 because I got angry, and played in punk rock bands and toured the East Coast in Honda Civics and played Warped Tour in the side of truck trailers and, did that whole thing. And then my sister moved to LA back in 2007, I believe, and she told me that LA is the place for me and that's where I need to be. And without question, I packed up everything and moved out to LA, just me, a dog, and a backpack, and hope for the best.
She said, California is the place you ought to be. So you loaded up the truck and you moved to not Beverly.
I moved directly to Pasadena, to be fair. And then
but that doesn't rhyme. With
I know.
Pasadena. Wow. So I'm going to, while you're talking about that, I read the article that you had online on shoutoutla.com, which was really great. I got some great info from there. And you mentioned there about times you were sleeping in your car, showering on the beach, and waiting for 3 a.m. open mics. How in the hell did you get through that?
I mean, when you're young and you're 25 or whatever it is, and not a lot of things matters, and you don't have a lot of responsibilities, but you know, how do I say it? It's always comes down to what you're willing to do, right? And I know so many people who want to be successful musicians and all this stuff, but they're not willing to do that kind of stuff. Where like I slept on couches for 2 years. I slept in my car. I'd use the beach showers, is what that point of that statement was, because there's free showers on the beach. You bring your own soap, and and I had a lot of friends who would sleep on the floor of my sister's house, and all, you know, do what you can until you meet the right people, and just did my time. And that's what I tell everybody is like, what's your biggest advice? I'm like, you just have to do your time. Everybody does it. Everybody
Pay your dues.
Successful does it. You got to get through your time.
Yeah. So how did you first get hooked? How'd you get, with Awol Nation?
So I after doing a bunch of awful jobs like testing video games and working at Kinko's, I ended up getting a job for a snowboard film company, and I was doing the audio for them for free, unpaid. And then we did a movie with the Rob Dyrdek, who had the Fantasy Factor and MTV. We did a premiere there, and that's where I met this guy named Jimmy Messer, who is the guitar player for like Kelly Clarkson, Enrique Iglesias, and a bunch of other people. And he was just like, hey, I'm looking for an engineer. Why don't you come down and check out the studio? And which is such an example of right place, right time, right? Like doing your time, you know, eating shit for a couple years, and then you meet the right person. And then I went to Jimmy's studio. He put me on the spot on the computer, said, record me. I recorded him. He gave me a job on the spot. And so for the next 4 years, I would work with Jimmy, which was really cool because he wasn't just a commercial studio where people pay to come in. He's a songwriter. So I got to learn engineering, producing, and songwriting through him. And that's where I met Aaron, who would do a lot of the lyrics and ghost vocals for the younger kids that Jimmy would work with. Any teen girls, 20-something-year-old kids doing pop music and whatnot. And so Jimmy would play guitar riff, and then I would play the drums and bass and record everything. And then Aaron would come in after hours and do all the vocals and lyrics. And then the next day, the talent would come in and just sing what Aaron had sang on it the day before. And so we did that for a lot of years, and that's where Aaron and I became buddies and kind of that survival mode together.
Oh, that's cool. So what time frame was this? What years? This
must have been 2008 to about 2000, maybe 2007 to 2009 ish, right around in that area.
So I was wondering how young of a fella you were.
I guess that would have made me 24.
And so now
24 when I moved to LA.
Okay, so now you're 29.
37.
No, I'm kidding. 37.
I know, 37. Just turned.
My God, you're a youngster.
Thank you.
But no, that's awesome. Because that's what Fitz and I are doing right now. We're sleeping on couches and doing shit for free. No, we're not. I'm just kidding.
What? I don't recall that.
But no, I know about the. That's all I've heard from people, and anybody that I know that has come across. I don't want to say luck. That's not the right word. Some good fortune is just keeping networking, making connections, being in the right place, getting all the work that you can, even if it is for free, and that's amazing. It was more than you two guys, right? Awol Nation. I'm sorry.
For Awol, yeah. So it's funny the way it happened. Everything was kind of backwards for us. Aaron had already been writing music with Jimmy, my boss. They had like 2 or 3 songs. And a new project that he was calling Awol Nation. Nobody had heard of it. It was just something he was doing on the side. And then Aaron and I would write these songs for these young girls. And one day we decided not to.
Sordid, but anyway.
Yeah. Well, one day we decided not to, and we accidentally created Sail and what would become Sail. And then Aaron's old manager got a hold of it, said, this is the one, sent it out to a bunch of places, and a couple labels were like, we want to see a show. We didn't have a band. We never played a show ever before. In fact, we played some of Aaron's old band songs at our first shows because we didn't even have enough songs to play a whole set. So the song started getting big before we even had a band. And we had to put a band together, bring in friends, rehearse, play a couple of shows, it happened so fast that we were just trying to catch up the whole time.
Oh, that's really cool. And I would imagine that made it more organic rather than manufactured, and probably more fun.
Yeah, 100%. Because there wasn't ever the goal is always to put music out that people will hear, but nobody had any expectations of it, right? And we were just making stuff for fun, making stuff because it's what we do. And then, labels want to hear it. You got to put a band together. Oh, cool. Okay, sweet. Oh, radio in Austin is playing it. You got to go there and play it. Oh, cool. Like for the first year and a half, we didn't even own instruments. We were renting instruments in every city that we would play,
Really?
which as a touring musician is a nightmare. But that's how fast it happened, is that I didn't own a guitar.
My God.
It was like that.
That's so neat. Which makes me think of another thing that I read in that shoutoutla.com article, was that you talked about, and I think this was later on, I don't know if this also included this time period, when you talked about removing competition from your creative, and in quote, searching for honesty and artistry among a world of fake fabricated art. Amen.
Yeah. I mean, it's no secret that like in the world of computers and playlists and Spotify's, right, everything's algorithm based, from YouTube to Spotify to Facebook, everything's algorithm based, right? So like the whole entire game is trying to manipulate that algorithm to put your stuff to the forefront. Not a lot of it is about like this person hearing it and that person hearing it, or whatever it is, or people believing in your music. It's about the algorithm. And that's what makes it tough, because I feel like there's a lot of transparent fakeness in some of that, and there will always be great music and great artists out there, but I feel like everybody's searching for a bit of honesty in creative today.
Well, even before all the digital stuff, and as far back as if you my God, going back to Tin Pan Alley, or if you've read anything, Carole King, anybody in there.
Oh yeah.
There was a formula to writing a hit song, and that was what some of these people were on contract just to churn out hits.
Wrecking Crew, yeah.
Motown. I mean, that's and some great songs came out, but I find, and not to make this about me, but just for me, the same thing is with podcasting. Like, I'll read these things about YouTubing and podcasts, and there's all these. You have to have, make sure you do the same topic and this, and a whole list of things. And I'm like, I just want freaking interesting people on.
No, totally. It's the same thing in the music world. They're like, how to get your stuff seen, how to get this, and it's like, I dare you to just be yourself. Try it. What, you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
I think every artist, no matter if an artist is putting on a front to become successful, and good on them to do what they need to do, but like, I know that deep down everybody just wants to be themselves, right?
Yeah.
Who wants to be somebody else?
And that's, I've come to understand how over the years, there's always been that when you have this great artist, and they put out tons of hits, I don't know why Madonna comes to mind, because I don't even really listen to her, but somebody like that, or Bruce Springsteen, and they put out tons of hits, and all of a sudden they put out this album that they had their heart and soul into, and it
flops.
was a flop. A prime example, Beastie Boys, Paul's Boutique.
That's a great album.
One of my
God,
favorites.
I love that album.
Love that album. One of my favorites. And I've read a couple books, and that they put their heart and soul. When it first came out, it was a flop. It soon later become a critic's favorite. But and then people act like, they're horrible, they're going downhill now, whatever. And it's like, no, they just did what they wanted to do.
It's so funny. I do my own podcast called On the Guest List, and we were just talking about this yesterday, about how artists will, I don't want to say reinvent themselves, but re-image themselves in a way that they see fit, and then they either sold out or they've changed or they whatever it was. And it's like, it's been 15 years. I'm not the same person that I was 15 years ago. If you want to come with me on the journey, great. If not, bye.
Yeah.
Is how I feel.
Yeah, I've seen that over and over, and when I was younger, I'm 55. So in the late 70s and early 80s, I was, all into punk and new wave and stuff. And I was a huge fan of early, first album Police. And then Sting became an asshole later. Sorry, Sting. And then he was all like, oh, I don't want to do it to police, and I don't want to sing Roxanne anymore. And I was like, oh man, but then it's like, okay, it's like 40 years later. I don't know if who knows if he wrote it about somebody back then that he just assumed forget, now I get it.
There's a fine line in all of that stuff, because like you want to give the people what they want, but also it's your art, right? So you want to make what's true to your heart. But then in the live setting, it's like, how many times have people asked me, are you sick and tired of playing Sail? And you're like, absolutely. But these people paid good money to come and see that song get played at its fullest potential. And we're going to give that to them,
Yeah, I know. So you perform by yourself now, or you perform? Well, I mean, not this past year.
New solo project. I kind of grift from place to place, and did Awol for a lot of years, and then after that, I got into fitness with my buddy Max, who's the singer of Eve 6. And then after quarantining for a year, because he has kids and we haven't seen each other in a while, I can't not make music, so I just decided to start making solo music. What happens? I don't know. What does it sound like? I don't know. And the last year has kind of been that exploratory vibe with my solo stuff, and I feel like I've kind of found who I am as a solo artist, which has been fun.
So what have you done other than that? What have you done the past year? Like, have a lot of people been taking the time to produce music? Did you work on that, or did you perform?
You know what? Nobody really talks about the devastation to the music industry because of this pandemic, right? Like restaurants, while they suffered, they had delivery and outdoor dining or whatever it is. Everybody had some version of that. The concerts today, still at zero, and it's like, that's venues, that's venue owners, venues employees, booking agents, touring people, touring sound guys. Like there's a whole group of people in there who really got screwed over this last year. And it also applied to my world, the studio production world, because everybody bought a laptop because they were working from home for the last year, right? And they're making music in their closet. And then Billie Eilish puts out a record that wins Grammys and she made it in her closet, right? So like the people coming into the studio just stopped as well. Yeah. And it was a tough year. And strangely, back in, I want to say August, I got a phone call from the head of audio at Nickelodeon, who like connections, friend of a friend, gave him my number, and they were looking for engineers. And it's funny, the guy who I first talked to at Nickelodeon, his name's Ryan Green. It's funny, I'm going to have to tell him this later, but he produced all the records I grew up listening to. No Effects, Lagwagon, Strung Out, like all of my favorite bands in the whole world. Oh. And so, I was hesitant. I was like, okay, do I really want to get into animation now? And then I met Ryan, and he's the reason I play music in the first place. And
That's
so it's
so
been this
cool.
Beautiful circle. Right, so now I work on cartoons all day. I work on SpongeBob. I work on Rugrats. I work on all
you're
cartoons.
living my dream. How the hell does that happen?
It's pretty rad. And then I make music in between all these sessions and on the weekends, and that's where that removing the competition idea came from. Because once I started working for Nick Animation, I no longer needed to rely on making music for a living. God, I hope this goes. God, I hope this gets playlisted.
Right.
How did you get this playlisted? Let me email you. What was the email you used? Can you send me a copy so I can copy and paste? Like this whole Game of Thrones thing and direct competition to like, they don't deserve that playlist or they don't deserve, and so being able to remove that competition and that responsibility on music making has made me, in my eyes, make the best stuff I've made so far.
Mm-hmm. It's funny, speaking of musical heroes growing up in one of your favorite bands and animation, Nickelodeon, Mark Mothersbaugh, Devo.
Yeah.
There you go.
Rugrats theme, among several others. Oh my God. I just went, my kids are in their mid and later 20s. And so I was so thrilled to death that there was good music. The cartoons, and they were funny too, but that's so awesome. You mentioned another thing in there that I was gonna we've had two other guests on that spoke about the devastation to the music industry. I have a good friend from growing up who's a musician, songwriter, whatnot, that lives in Nashville, Sean Patrick McGraw, and he made his living. He was still, he made his big money just touring all summer long, going through the East Coast where, we're from, and just playing bars and stuff and making it's like his summer vacation. He just plays somewhere every night. But then he got in with some people, and he writes music for Hallmark movies. So it's the same.
It's a good gig.
It's a good gig. And then another one was my friend Rich Corsi is the vice president of Columbus Association of the Performing Arts, and they have several theaters. He's been there for 30 years, and they've booked they have all kinds of concerts and everything. And he talked about the devastation, and they were trying some fundraisers, to help people in the industry. So
it's been a tough one, but I was talking about this yesterday about how it's inspiring to see those who can pivot, right? The people who gave up versus the people who are just waiting for something to open versus the people who are like, okay, how do I take this virtual geotagged location concert and make it available on this date to this state and on this date to this other state? And, all these different versions of what people are doing. It's been beautiful and inspiring to see. And that's where real creative comes out.
Yeah, that's great. It's the whole making lemons, which I wrote not about me, but I wrote a book 8 years ago, and the title was and it was about shit I went through, being a single mom, making the best of it. When life gives you lemons, at least you won't get scurvy.
Hey, absolutely true, 100%. Well, and that's the thing. It was okay, quarantine, can't do anything. What am I not gonna make music? It's not going to happen. So better figure something out. And so I started making little personal videos of me in the studio, messing around and doing stuff. And those got traction. And you just do stuff.
Speaking of that, love those. And I love that song, The Thing About Us.
Oh, thank you.
Love it.
So does my wife.
And the video, I know. Oh, okay. And speaking of your wife, I stalked your Instagram. Sorry. And then I stalked hers. She seems awesome, and I am so jealous of your guys' relationship. It's just awesome because when one of you said, like I said, I was stalking, and it was somebody's birthday or something, and you're like, I finally found someone's weird who matched mine, and I'm like,
yeah. Here's a funny story. So her sister, my wife is Sarah, her sister Tara used to date Aaron, the singer of Awol. And so I've known Tara longer. And Aaron and Tara were dating, and then 3 years into their relationship, Tara brought her sister, my future wife, to ACL in Austin, where we were playing, and the rest is history. And Sarah and I have been together ever since. I'm hitting 10 years this year, and I think I even said in that shout out interview that it's not easy to meet somebody while touring 300 days a year, 275 shows a year, and support you in doing it for years and years and years, and live by themselves, with me being gone all the time. And she's always asked me to write a song for her, and I never had before for whatever reason. It just seemed like it's too hard to do something so specific. Most of what I do is off the cuff. And then my buddy sent me the track for The Thing About Us, and within 30 minutes, all the lyrics on there had just come out, just free flowed. And then I was like, hey, you got your song. I don't know how it happened, but here it is. And so she loves it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that song. And I love speaking of Beastie Boys, I love the video is very reminiscent, the camera angle and the back, except it's in the back of a car, obviously. With the tracking. I love that. But it just reminded me.
Big Beastie Boys fan. I bet that's where a lot of my visuals come from.
And that's awesome. Hey, you're out in LA. I know he's in Malibu. If you ever run across Mike D.
Yeah, for sure. He's a big Awol fan, which is fun.
Is he? And he's single.
He's done a remix for Awol and some other stuff.
Really?
And what a legend, man.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of funny that Scott and I have been in radio for years, so we know the whole drill. And my kids were leaving, and I was like, I gotta do something else. So I was revisiting the podcast thing, and the Beastie Boys documentary on Apple TV. I don't know. Did you see that?
Absolutely.
I saw that. Well, for the book, I first started reading the book that it was based on, and then I was like, oh, hey. And reading it, all of a sudden, I had this revival of my youth. And I was like, that's what I wanted to do, what they were doing at that time in New York City. And I was like, God, well, you're 55. Do it now. So,
if not now, then when?
Exactly. So, that's so great. So, who else are your influences?
Oh God, that's such a big question. I'm a big product of '90s hip hop. It's what I grew up listening to, like Beastie Boys, like Mos Def, like Del the Funky Homo Sapien, Wham.
I love Del the
like,
Funky Homo Sapien.
And then you get into like Mr. Bungle and like
Yes!
and Racer X, and, right, and then like
Finally,
Mr. Big,
someone else.
I'm a
Mike
and,
Patton.
it's funny because on my podcast we do this segment called "What the Fuck We're Listening To," and all the other guys, it's always something new, something that just came out. Mine is always from the '90s, and I'm like, I went back, Biggie, Dreams, that song, et cetera, et cetera. It's like I just live in the past, and I don't know why.
Look, I'm still listening to like Richard Hell and Television and
love Television.
Yes, and Iggy and Bowie and everybody back then.
I can't. You know what's I can't come from I listened to mostly '90s hip hop. I also played a lot of punk rock and heavy metal through my formative years, and so there's some blend that a lot of people say is in my music between that hip hop and kind of heavy guitar vibe.
Absolutely, and I have the same not tape, whatever, in music. I like the same, all your influences that obviously are blended into your music from listening to the hip hop, to the punk, and to, I like a blend of genres. Like, I mean, speaking of blending, one of my all-time favorite genres of music is ska. So,
yeah.
And you went through the third wave ska back in the 90s.
Oh, I
Real
used to
Big
skate
Fish.
around basements of my friends' houses listening to Mighty Mighty Boss Stones and Spit Valves and like all the old school like 1991 ska, like great stuff.
Yeah, well, I grew up high school, the Specials, were just coming out. So, but yeah, I love that blended sort of stuff. And a friend of mine, well, I've known him for years, who has the same kind of thing as, do you know MC Lars?
That sounds super familiar.
He's played on the Warped Tour. Back in the day,
I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. What did he call his stuff? Post-punk laptop rock.
We like to call our stuff post everything.
That seems right on. I love your lyrics. I love smart, clever, funny lyrics. And I have to ask, in Blow Me Away, did you mention Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite?
I did. And the only reason is because while I was writing that song, Napoleon Dynamite was on the TV. There's such a line between like, a lot of some people take their music so seriously, and I respect that, and I get that because there's beautiful, incredible art out there. That's not me. I just want to make fun, happy, cool stuff. That's it. I don't go too deep. I don't need to. I'm not trying to change music. I'm not trying to change the world. I'm just trying to make fun stuff, and that's where all that comes from.
I love that. I'm like a new devotee, so count me.
Great.
Count this old broad among your fans now. But yeah,
I love it.
I've been listening to it, and every time I'll catch something, and I'm like, Uncle Rico.
I use that. I use the song that they used for him.
What?
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear this.
Yeah, so good.
I use that in my radio shows like all the time.
I'll throw this football over that goddamn mountain.
That's what it was.
So good. He's my favorite person just as a person. I love him.
And going on a tangent again, Napoleon Dynamite, did you know that was born out of a senior film project?
I did. It's such a great, I was recently watching some like behind the scenes of them filming it and stuff, and it was the smallest crew, the funniest little thing, and so funny.
Where did you see that?
on YouTube, like on the random YouTube algorithms that come up.
Oh,
and,
I'll have to look that up because
oh, it's great. It's golden.
Because I saw, I don't know, I read an article or something about the whole thing, how they were film students at BYU, and it came out of that.
Yeah, it was. I seem to remember, because I'm a filmmaker myself, and I seem to remember when that first came out. There was a lot of buzz about the fact that it was like one of the first feature films cut on Final Cut Pro on an Apple.
Oh,
and it was like
such a trip.
Yeah, it was
that dance scene.
Oh, I know.
One of the best scenes.
I know, right?
In movie history.
It totally.
Oh
is.
my God,
totally is.
So good.
And
shut up, Napoleon. God.
Napoleon, give me some tots. Give me your tots.
I actually was just working with the guy who played Pedro the other day at Nick, and he's so funny. He kept being like, yeah. Like all the time, we were all dying.
Oh my God. Oh,
it's so hot in here.
So I cut my hair. You know what's funny about that movie is like either you hate it or you love it. Like there's people I've talked to and they're like, it's just not funny.
Yep. Yeah, and it's weird because
you don't get it.
Yeah,
exactly. But there's some people that you get, you know, you meld with them on everything, and then they say they don't like Napoleon Dynamite. You're like, what? I thought I knew you. I'm like, who are you? Exactly. Doesn't make any sense.
Well, speaking of that, so full disclosure, I don't know if you were told that my significant other is friends with your father. They work at NetJets.
Yes, he did mention that.
Yeah,
which is awesome.
Yeah, that's how we got. He's the one that brought it up. He's like, "Oh, my friend's son." Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, "Hell yeah!" So I'm very thankful to that. Shout out to your dad. And
yeah, absolutely. My dad's like, "Hey, I got a friend whose girl does this podcast. You?" And I'm like, "Cool, sounds fun."
I so appreciate you coming on and taking the leap of faith because you're like, "Who is this broad?"
This is great. No, I love it, and I love you. This is awesome.
Oh, good, thank you. Yay! I love to talk music. I went to college for radio and TV, and I thought I was going to be like the world's next greatest DJ, because I sat in my room all the time playing, the Clash and
playing radio.
Yeah, playing radio DJ, and then I would take all my records to our friends, keg parties, and they're like, "Oh Jesus, she's playing her music again." And they just wanted to listen to some Judas Priest shit or something back in 1982. And so anyway, but then I got into radio, and it was all like, "Hey, we want you to play this record for us," and it just, the music director just gave you everything and you had pushed buttons and that was it. There was no, it wasn't like in the 70s, the FM radio where the DJ is talking about this new album.
Yeah, where
Cream.
The DJs actually had some control and
right.
like in the 50s and the 60s where a DJ had, they decided what made it on the radio.
And they got payola.
That was the time to be in radio.
Now it's a sad state for terrestrial radio.
Oh,
right
totally.
now. And it's upsetting because half of the DJs that I know want to be courted and taken out to dinner and put up in a hotel and flown to Chicago to come see you play before they might put you on the Sunday night at midnight show. Then the other half of the DJs love music and will stick their neck out for things they believe in, which is a beautiful thing. Now, the unfortunate part is companies like iHeartMedia, owning 850 stations across the country, mass exodus, firing everybody because they're now using one centralized playlisting for all the stations.
Yeah,
not just each station gets their own.
We both lost a lot of friends in that.
In that exodus.
Radio genocide.
And I mean, you're talking 15, 20-year veterans of radio who were such big music fans and everybody respected. And you're like, what? They're gone?
Yeah. We had a lot of them around here, that people that I worked with, 30 years ago, and they had already been in the business for, 20 years or whatever. And that was really disheartening. And I say that, I make that joke. People say like, "Oh, why don't you get back into radio?" I'm like, how? There's nothing. There's like one DJ in all of iHeartMedia that has every shift.
July is 1 year since I left.
Really?
Yeah, 1 year.
But then you
since
look
I left.
like we talked about people who pivot. Look at you guys. You know what I mean? It's like there's people who just are like, okay, no, it's not happening, over it, right? And then there's other people who are like, I like to do this.
Yeah.
Let me figure out how to do this in any way, whether it's on the internet, whether it's on Spotify, Apple, whatever it is. It's like, if you can pivot, man, good on you.
Yeah, I mean that's what was I was like making $12 an hour, 4 hours a day. I'm like, why am I coming here at the crack of
Dawn's ass.
Yeah, crack of dawn's ass to do this show? And I'm like, I'll put all my time into my studio. That's what we did.
Exactly, 100%. Build it out, and this looks great. You know.
Thank you.
Thanks. I don't know why I said thanks. Thanks for Fitz. So, you know who else I was going to say? Your stuff made me think of too. That has he has the same sort of sensibilities, but yours is much funnier. I love it. But Randall Park with Hello Peril.
Yeah. Okay, I'm into that. I back it.
Yeah, and that just made me think because I was like, where? What does this remind me of? But yours is not like we're comparing or whatever. But no, yours is like more funky, and but it was just the same kind of vocal kind of cadence or whatever. But
That's awesome. That's great. I like to have fun.
Yes, that I see that. So where did the bunny suit come from?
You know, I work with
Speaking of having fun,
William Samuel Levi. He's my filmer buddy who I've known since I lived back in Florida, and he's such a talented director, and he helps me with all my videos, and he and I are always texting about what's going to be the weirdest thing to do. Like, what's the strangest thing we could do? Or like, what if we get like some sort of mascot costume that has nothing to do with the song? And then we did that, and then I actually saw my friend Kristen, K-Flay, she did a photo, posted a photo of her from a backup camera on a car. And I was like, oh, that's interesting because it's naturally like a wide angle lens so you can see everything behind your car. And I was like, Sam, what if we shot the video from the backup camera and had this rabbit running around? And that's where these stupid ideas were born.
I love that. K-Flay, she used to work and tour with MC Lars.
Yeah, she toured with
probably
Awol
about 10,
a couple of times.
Yeah, probably like 10 years ago. Yeah, they were tight for a while. They were, so I had met her one time. She was coming through town with him. You know, it's just like, hi, how you doing? So she would never know who the hell I was.
She's
but anyway,
super sweet. She's great.
She is. And then it's funny, my son, I took him to the show too. I think he was like 16 at the time. And then he became slightly enamored with her for a while. But anyway, but speaking of that, the rabbit, and the video that was it just an Instagram where you're in the carrot suit and you're like, what the fuck am I doing?
Well, again, we had the idea of me dressing up like a giant carrot and the rabbit just chasing me around the whole video. And then so that didn't make the video. And then we were left with this carrot suit. And I was like, how do we make something funny out of this? And then I was like, what if I put it on and I just start yelling at you? Like, this is the worst idea ever. He's like, it's perfect. Do it.
I loved it. That cracked me up. Now I have a really important, serious question for you. What's your favorite cheese?
Let's see. I'm gonna have to say it's a good pepper jack.
Ooh,
might be my fave because I like a little bit of the spice, not too much spice. I like a little bit of spice, and I'm not a real cheesy guy. I don't want old. I don't want mold. I want something fresh and something spicy. So pepper jack.
He like had this cheese answer like figured out. Did you give him a question beforehand?
I did not.
I've never had anyone.
I don't mess around, man.
Yeah, totally. I've never had anyone come up with a quick answer.
A man that knows what he wants. And
I'm what some people call a professional interviewee.
There you go.
And it sounds quite refreshing the way you explained it. So.
Yeah, it's quite delicious. It's great. You know, a little bit of zip, a little bit of nip. It's great.
Yeah, that does. I'm gonna go buy some after this. And what's your favorite luncheon meat, or do you eat meat?
No, I do. I do.
You're not one of those.
I'm a Florida boy. No. I eat meat and drink beer.
Yeah, where in Florida are you from?
I mean, Orlando for the most part. Orlando, and then I actually ended up doing high school and a couple years after out on an island off the coast of Florida, which was awesome. It's where my grandma lived, so that's where I ended up staying.
Which one?
Satellite Beach, Florida. It's like just south of Cape Canaveral.
Yeah.
So like everything we were the Space Coast. We had the Space Bank. And I went to Satellite High School. You know.
Oh, Fitz, where are you from?
I'm from the Fort Lauderdale area.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there you go. I used to live in Cooper City.
So did I. I lived in
Holy, there you
Cooper
go.
City.
My
I lived
dad-
in Cooper City when I
My
was in
dad
high
was
school.
stationed at Opelika Coast Guard Base.
Oh,
and I
okay.
grew up around there.
Wow.
Yeah, that's all I ever. That's all I ever hear from John is Pensacola, Pensacola, Pensacola. When he was a Marine.
Also lived in Pensacola. My
Yeah.
dad was in the Navy.
Yeah,
too.
John was a Marine pilot, so that's where he did his training.
I'm
and-
a military brat through and through. Lived on base for a lot of years.
Really? How the hell?
Loved it. Loved every minute of it.
Really? They let you?
I can like it's like I remember playing with like toy fire trucks in the hangars with Dolphin H-60 helicopters and Falcon jets and my dad always coming home in his flight suit and like there's just
That's
those
cool.
are those young childhood memories
Did,
that I have.
did he play the
it's so
theme to
awesome.
Top Gun every time he walked in?
I did in my head, and there's lots of pictures of me dressing up in his flight suit for Halloween and stuff like that. Like, there's a picture of me with this flight helmet on, watching Top Gun with a computer joystick when I was a little kid.
Nice.
Oh, you. Well, I don't know if you're ever up or out this way. I guess John has a bar in a little resort town on Lake Ontario that's called Stick and Rudder. And
oh, nice.
And
okay.
It's all look it up on Facebook. This is brought to you by Stick and Rudder of Fairhaven, New York. And it's airplane and then sailing themed too, because he grew up sailing. So
It's awesome. Two good things.
yeah. But yeah, no, I got on the Top Gun thing. I'd never watched it, and that came out when I was in like college, and so he's always doing all the quotes, lines from it, and I was like, I refuse to watch that. That just was like way beyond my cheese factor then, and so he's like, he would always say these things, and one day we're together, and it was on TV, and he's like, oh come on, we got to watch, and I'm like, okay, just for reference sake, I'm gonna watch this, and every single quote that came out, I would always go. It was. And he's like, come on, man. And he was laughing. He's like, that's awesome, man. He's like, whatever the guy's name is, you stink. And he thinks that's a
Slider.
Slider. You
Slider.
stink. And I'm like, it's not that funny.
It might be the best movie ever made in the history of movies, is in my opinion. And only because my dad was a fighter pilot while I was a kid watching that. So every single line, word for word, movie start to finish, I could recite.
Did he fly F-14s?
No, I know. Not like he flew like Falcons and drug interdiction and search and rescue missions.
Oh, okay, cool. That's cool.
Yeah, John taught flight school in Pensacola, whatever the little things, but then in combat, he was a Cobra helicopter pilot.
Yeah, there you go.
Pew, blowing people up.
Whiting Base, Pensacola. Shout out.
And that was
I don't think it's there anymore.
I couldn't tell you.
Anyway, tangents, right?
Yeah. And
lunch meat.
No, wait. I gotta say one more thing. But wait. Lunch meat. I hate bologna. But anyway, no, because he was at Pensacola when that was being filmed and came out, or was he? No. I don't know. He did Pensacola, and then he did what's the one out in California?
Miramar.
Pendleton.
Yeah, Miramar. They're like connected.
So he was living that life and I'm like, oh, so like, did you go out in your jumpsuit and flight suit and try to get laid every night? And he's like, yep.
Yep, and my officers' whites uniforms. I'm still looking for Tom Cruise's motorcycle from Top Gun. If I could find one of those, like 1986 Ninja Kawasaki bikes, I might buy one.
Is that what it was? I
don't know. It looks like something like that.
Steve McQueen's Triumph, wasn't it? What he had? But anyway, lunch meat. Did we ever come up with
what
lunch
is
meat?
bologna?
I think it's ground up byproducts of.
I'm a turkey guy. Turkey, smoked turkey, honey turkey, maple turkey, all that kind of good stuff on a good Sammy with some crunchy onions. Yeah.
Crunchy onions.
Oh yeah, French's.
Oh,
yeah.
Those are the best.
Yum.
Yeah.
On a
yum.
on a sandwich.
Yum.
I never
That's
had
the
those
best.
out-
You ever put Do you never put chips on your sandwich?
No.
What?
No.
You're missing out.
You think you know
That's
somebody.
something I learned on tour.
I'm a minimalist.
Oh boy. Do
Yeah.
you even use bread?
Sometimes. Depends
Open
if my
face?
ass doesn't need it at the time. Cutting down on the bread.
I do like your choice of headphones, by the way, Kenny.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. These are the Don't Murder My Ears naturally attenuated AKGs that I like a lot.
That's what I got.
See, you
Yeah.
get it. You get it. You get it.
I'm with you.
Yay. Fitz, did we find out what kind of lunch meat you like? And also, I ain't never had no fried onions outside of green bean casserole.
I do
There's
like
a lot of ways to put fried onions.
I do like a buffalo chicken breast. That's always good. It tastes a lot like turkey, but
course.
it's spicy.
Does it bother those chickens from Buffalo that you're
Chickens
touching
from
their breasts?
Buffalo are rude.
Oh,
They're assholes.
That's a good band name. Chickens
From Buffalo. Yes, that'd be a great
I
band.
grew up outside of Buffalo. I think I'm going to steal that.
Starting a band too?
Yes, I am. Why not? I can get paid. I cannot get paid at everything.
Yeah, right. What else can I do that I can throw money in and not get any returns?
Exactly. So Kenny, what do you got coming up? Projects.
Let's see. I actually have a new single coming out next Friday, not tomorrow, but next Friday.
I know
Song
what it
called
is.
Wow.
I heard the snippet and I love that.
Oh, that's all. Here's a quick funny story. So when the pandemic hit and nobody could get together, I had to figure out, how do I write music on my own? Because I'd always made music, produced music, do all this stuff, but I've never been a lyricist or a voice or anything, like never had anything to say. I wrote no less than 50 songs, from singing to rapping to talking to all, trying to find my lane, like find what works, what's honest, and where my identity lies. Wow is the first song I ever wrote. And quite literally, after doing, I think, the first verse or something like that in the microphone, I go, wow, like into the microphone during that thing. And that's where that wow came from. It was an actual, honest, like surprise moment of myself being like, wow.
I love that. Fitz, you gotta listen to it.
Okay.
It's just
I'm excited.
Wow.
It's funny because for the last year, everybody has told me they love it, and I've just never put it out because it was the first one I ever did. I was like, it can't, I don't know. And then finally, I'm like, you know what? I just started working with a sync company who helps you put your music on TV and stuff like that. And I sent them wow, and they're like, what is this? What is this? We love this. I'm like, really? Okay. I was like, I guess I'll put it out.
and they said, wow.
Yeah, I'm totally going to be following you because you're like living the dreams that I had when I was younger.
So you can live vicariously through him.
Working in I really wanted to do voice and animation and stuff like that. I'm an audio guy. I'm a musician. I had a bunch of bands when I was in my 20s. And I just produced a film here too that just came
Bottom
out.
feeders.
Yeah, Bottom Feeders. Check it out. It's picked up by Indie Rights from California, from LA. So it's on Prime at the moment. So if you get a chance, we're actually going to have Jeremy London on a live stream tonight to talk about it. But I'm not here to talk about me.
Good. That's great though. I mean, that's. I've been so fortunate to float and move the way I have over the last 15, 20 years. God, how it's been. But
yeah, but
things have been good to me. Music's been good to me.
Yeah, don't downplay. I mean, you were floating around, but you had what it took when you were floating. I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying?
You know, it's funny. There's always the thing of people being like, "You're so lucky," and you're like,
"No,
yes, I am. I am
some
lucky,
of it, yeah,
but also." I worked my ass off to do everything I did.
You have to. It's what is it? Luck is preparation meets opportunity, something like that.
Yeah,
like you were prepared.
Exactly.
Oh, that's rolling the dice, not something else.
Craps. No, we stop talking about your gambling life. Madge.
I caught myself on the monitor making the motion. I'm
like, what are you doing with your hand?
Anyways,
Goodness.
But then there are some people that it is just luck, because some people you're like, how the hell did they?
Oh, when it's like, you know,
like Pauly Shore. No,
well,
that was his mother.
Yes. I was going to say, it's like famous people's kids.
Yeah.
Some of them actually have legitimate talent, but would they have gotten where they are without that leg up? Probably not.
would their talent have stood out amongst the rest of us?
Right.
The rest of ours.
Right.
You know?
True. And
Sometimes.
and then you get those, hardcore ones that are like, I'm not going to use my parents' name. I want to try and get.
Yeah. Who are they? You never heard of them.
I don't know.
Right. Totally.
Well, like my son went to NYU and he tried to, as a hobby, he wanted to get in this one of the many, I don't know, it was improv group or something like that. And one of the kids that was running it was Jack Quaid. Was
Dennis Quaid's
Dennis
kid?
Quaid and Meg Ryan's kid.
Yeah, from the boys.
Yeah, and the Deuce and what was the short-lived record industry HBO thing? Vinyl? Was that the name of it?
Yeah, on Showtime.
It was Showtime or HBO with Bobby Cannavale, whatever. I don't know.
Cannavale.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Vinyl. I think it was.
Bring it back down.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jack Quaid was like trying to use some different name or whatever, and it's like, well, dude, like you're a spitting image of Dennis Quaid, so I think it's kind of.
It's like Jack Quaid. I mean, he's already from an action movie. Like he's the hero in an action movie just with that name.
Luckily, Jack Quaid actually has talent to back up.
There you go.
He does, because he went to Tisch School, NYU.
Nice.
But no, he has anyway. So back to wrapping up on what you've got going on. I just have a quick side note. What's your path to putting out music these days? I mean, I know there's so many now.
Yeah, if I'm being honest, one of my best friends in the world, his name's Sweet Pea. He's the guitar player in Eve 6. He manages fitness. I just send him stuff and he puts it out there for me. I don't really know. I know we use a company called Soul Spasm, which does great things and helps me get playlisted. But everything's done. I write the music, I perform the music, I mix it, I master it. I get my friends to help me with the artwork. You package it all up. I send it off to Sweet Pea. Sweet Pea uploads it to Distro, Soul Spasm. I hit up all my friends in playlisting and hope that they'll get me a spot on their things. And we call it the rollout. It's the rollout of the song. And then 2 weeks before release, you start promo. 1 week before release, you do a teaser. And it's the Game of Thrones formula that you kind of hate, but also it's helpful,
Yeah, because there's so many levels. I mean, like when we were, everybody, you had a record label and a contract and a distributor and blah, blah, blah. That was all. And now it's like you doing things like this, or, you got like Chance the Rapper who just put it out himself. And so I just wonder is that self-produced? Is that what you would
it's just what you would call an independent. It's all like there's nobody helping, there's no outside influence or outside financial help. It's just all me doing literally everything from inception to delivery, which has been really cool because I've always had other cooks in the kitchen, which is always helpful and great, and I've had the best times of my life. But like there's something really gratifying about having no other voices around,
I hear you. So when is that? Is it just the single or is it a whole?
So it's the title track off of my WoW EP, which came out like 8 months ago because WoW, the song wasn't going to come out. Here's the perfect example. I talked to my manager. I'm like, hey, I want to put out WoW the single. And he goes, well, is it supposed to be part of WoW the EP? And I'm like, I don't care. If you want it to be, sure. I really don't care. I just want to make something and put it out. I don't care how it's attached, what it's named, how it's blah, blah, blah. He goes, well, you already used the name WoW. I'm like, I don't care. Like, does it matter? Who's going to tell me I can't? It's the best part about being independent.
And you say, here are all the fucks that I give.
Yeah, exactly. Don't care. That's been my new motto for the last about 5 years. Don't care at all.
Become my
new.
Can't
say that.
Yeah.
Don't care.
So what? Oh yeah. So when's that come out again?
May 28th, I believe, is Friday, May 28th. It'll be out. I've got a cute little animated lyric video, and then this Sunday I'm shooting the video for the next single that'll come out after that called "Dinosaurs Don't Die." So there's a lot of stuff in the works. Right now.
Cute. So where can we?
Dinosaurs meeting us because we're old.
I hear you. Excuse me. Speak for yourself, though. No, I'm just kidding. So where can people find this? Where do we look for your stuff?
Anywhere. So I've kept it simple. And most people were like, what name are you going to go by? And I'm like, my name, Kenny Carkeet. They're like, really? You're not going to use a stage name? And I'm like, bro, I've used a stage name my entire life, my entire career. What's the point? So everything is just kennycarkeet.com, at Kenny Carkeet on every platform, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, on Spotify. It's Kenny Carkeet. It's all one place. And you can find everything, links to all the music, links to merch, links to all that stuff at kennycarkeet.com.
Fantastic. Everybody look for that. You will not be sorry. Just wrapping up here, I want to say thank you to Fitz.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Fitz.
My pleasure.
Rockfox.com for all your recording needs. Kenny, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
I greatly appreciate it. Just stay on till after the theme runs out so we can say our proper goodbyes.
I'm hanging.
And me, Madge Madigan, on all social media, Madge Madigan, Madge Unmuted on YouTube, obviously. Well, if you're listening to audio, go see the video on YouTube. And please like, subscribe, and share, rate, and review.
All of those things.
I usually end up saying like shit and real and rock and whatever. I never get the words right, but do that.
Make sure you shit, shower, and shave.
That too.
Yeah. That's military.
Anyway, thanks everybody for joining us. We will see you next Thursday on Madge Unmuted.
Bye.